Tonight, go behind the scenes of border control at the world's busiest airport on Customs. Then, Russell Crowe, Elizabeth Banks and Liam Neeson in the thriller movie The Next 3 Days. Tonight on 9 Live Channel 94, the free-to-air first, Hotel Impossible.
This is the Queensland edition of Nine's Morning News with Alison Ariotti.
Good morning. In about 45 minutes, hundreds of Queenslanders will rally for Alison Baden-Clay. Friends, family and strangers want the Attorney-General to appeal the conviction downgrade of her killer, Gerard Baden-Clay. Tessa Hardy is at King George Square. Tessa, have people started to gather there?
They have, Alison. It all kicks off here about 12:15, but we've already seen about 100 or so people who have turned out here, all wearing yellow. They're just taking a bit of shelter in the shade before it all kicks off on the main stage behind me here. They are rallying in support of Alison Baden-Clay and her family, rallying against domestic violence and also really letting the state government know that they would have support should they choose to take this to the High Court. They are calling on the Acting Attorney-General to appeal the decision to downgrade Gerard Baden-Clay's murder conviction to one of manslaughter. So as I said, about 12:15 we'll start to see this kick off, where there are going to be some pretty high profile speakers. Bruce and Denise Morcom are here, will be here. They've already taken to social media to say this just should not have happened in a modern Australia. Our own Lisa Wilkinson will be hosting this rally, and we're also seeing the support of Senator Glenn Lazarus as well as Olympian Libby Trickett. But this whole rally really does have the support of Alison's close friend, including one of her closest friends, Nicole Morrison, who I spoke to a short time ago.
If something doesn't feel right or something doesn't sit right with people, you can stand together, strangers, people who knew Alison, people who just basically have an opinion on this. We can all stand together and just show that there is enough support for hopefully change in the future.
I think that so many people have come here to celebrate Alison's life is a great tribute to our society.
I'm a mother and a grandmother, and I feel very much for the children.
I do it mainly for Alison and just a show of support for her and a show of disgust at what's happened.
Now, Alison, today, as we heard, is really about positivity, but the Premier this week has called on Queenslanders to remain patient while they decide if they will appeal this. They do have until the 5th of January to do so. We have seen some commentary around the fact that perhaps the judges are copping some unfair criticism because, of course, it is their job to decide according to law, and according to law, they did decide that this was not an intentional killing. It is their job to not be influenced by anything. Alison?
All right, Tessa, we'll cross back to you later in the bulletin. Thank you. Well, he put up a courageous fight, but Mick Fanning has just missed out on clinching his 4th surfing world title. Robert Penfold is in Hawaii and joins us now on the phone. Rob, it has, of course, been quite the emotional roller coaster for the 34-year-old. How's he doing today?
Yeah, good morning, Alison. Well, I think that there's still certainly tinges of sadness about him. We can see that for sure. Even when he went out, before he went out on the beach today, on the beach as well, before he went out into the surf, he was sitting there in just sort of looking up into the sky and almost saying a little prayer as well. I think people were saying it was quite an emotional time, and yes, it is. And it's very close to him. Up until the semi-finals, he really looked like he was doing incredibly well. But then at the last, he came up against the Brazilian, Gabriela Mendoza, on their way back, because there are family members and grandchildren and all of that to be cared for as well. So there it is. It wasn't a great day for Mick in the end. We were just hoping, we all had our fingers crossed, that sadly it just didn't happen today for him.
Yeah, all right. Robert Penfold there in Hawaii. Thank you. A woman will face court today accused of slashing a policeman with a kitchen knife. The officer was trying to arrest the woman after attending to a disturbance at a Helensvale home when she allegedly tried to cut him on the arm. The 20-year-old has been charged with serious assault of police. The officer was taken to hospital and treated for a laceration. Some breaking news from Victoria this morning. Convicted rapist and killer Adrian Bailey has won the right to apply for taxpayer funds to appeal against his 2 rape convictions. Bailey raped and murdered Jill Maher and now wants lawyers from Victorian Legal Aid to represent him in his fight. He's currently serving a life sentence. The Prime Minister has arrived in Tokyo on his first trip to Northern Asia since taking the top job. Charles Croucher has the details.
Malcolm Turnbull made a late-night exit chasing the sun in the land of the rising sun. The Prime Minister touching down for a whirlwind visit. On the agenda, talks on innovation and business development, as well as a one-on-one meeting with Prime Minister.
Is where to put it all.
2 fishermen have been plucked from their sinking trawler in Moreton Bay early this morning after it crashed onto rocks at the Redcliffe jetty. It's believed the boat suffered engine trouble, causing it to smash into the breakwater. The men, aged 35 and 49, managed to climb onto rocks where they waited until the Coast Guard arrived. They were then taken to Redcliffe Hospital, suffering mild hypothermia. A crane will be brought in this afternoon to help salvage the boat. Just ahead in 9's Morning News, the positive results giving women even more reason to get screened for ovarian cancer. Now, Uber is officially legal in New South Wales. What does it mean for customers around the Tweed and Gold Coast who travel over the border? And hit or miss, how did Australia's Miss Universe costume fare on the world stage? Promising results from a new study could pave the way for a national screening program for ovarian cancer. A 14-year study from the UK involving more than 200,000 women has shown annual screening and early diagnosis can cut the mortality rate by 20%. In the majority of cases, the disease isn't discovered until the advanced stages, and 60% of patients die within 5 years. Controversial ride-sharing service Uber has been made legal in New South Wales overnight, and as the Queensland review continues. Live to Kari-Anne Greenback on the Gold Coast. Kari, what exactly does this mean for residents living close to the border?
Well, Alison, it means the situation becomes very confusing. If the service is legal in New South Wales but illegal in Queensland, what do Uber drivers do if their client wants to be picked up in New South Wales but dropped off in Queensland?
The Opera House. The finals of the competition will be held over the weekend. Now, Tommy's here with sport and a warning from John Aloisi for the Raw.
Alison, they can't take any chances this weekend against a struggling Central Coast side. We'll have more out of this morning's training session up next. Plus, Jose Mourinho showing the door at Chelsea. And Mike Hussey leads the Thunder to a drought-breaking Big Bash win. The Raw have been warned not to underestimate the struggling Central Coast Mariners ahead of this weekend's A-League clash in Gosford. Adam Jackson has more.
The Brisbane Roar returned to their winning ways last weekend with the 2-1 victory over the Wellington.
The Wildcats were down 9 points going into the final quarter, but stormed home in the final period to cement their position at the top of the table with a 73-70 win. There you go, Alison. Let's do it all again this afternoon.
All right, we will. Thanks, Tom. Up next, I'll have a check of the latest finance figures and this morning's weather details. Plus, we will cross back to King George Square as Queenslanders demand justice for Alison. Looking at the weather now, middle-level cloud covers much of eastern Northern Territory and northern Queensland, with embedded thunderstorms over central Australia and the north of Queensland. Around the country today, Brisbane 28 degrees, 28 also in Sydney and sunny there. Melbourne very hot, 37, a scorcher in Adelaide, 42. Warm conditions also in Canberra, 34 degrees, cloudy and 22 in Hobart, a sunny 26 for Perth, possible storm for Darwin. Tomorrow, partly cloudy in Brisbane, 28, Sydney, sunny and 30 degrees, hot and windy in Melbourne, 41 there, and Adelaide's heatwave continues, 43 degrees, 36 and sunny in Canberra, partly cloudy in Hobart, 24 degrees for Perth, 31 and showers in Darwin. Looking further ahead in Brisbane, Sunday a possible shower, partly cloudy on Monday before possible showers Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. Taking a quick look at finance, after 2 days of gains, the market has resumed its downward slide. The All Ords is down 45 points. Our dollar is buying 71 US cents. Before we go, let's head back to King George Square. Tessa Hardy is there. Tessa, the rally for Alison Baden-Clay is just about to start.
It is, Alison, and just probably in the last 10 minutes or so, we've really seen the crowd start to build. As you can see behind me here, it's now a sea of yellow, around about nearly 1,000 people here. The proceedings will get underway on that stage in about 15 minutes. We'll hear an opening from our own Lisa Wilkinson. We'll hear from Alison's best friend, Nicole Morrison, and then from Bruce Morecambe, who is here with Denise. Of course, Alison, they're all here to support Alison Baden-Clay and take a stand against domestic violence.
All right, Tessa, thank you. Stay tuned to 9. We will have special coverage of that rally coming up at 12:15 and, of course, updates throughout the day. For now, however, that is our Queensland edition of 9's Morning News. Amelia Adams will have 9 News Now at 3 o'clock and I'll be back with the afternoon bulletin at 4 o'clock. I'm Alison Ariotti. Thanks for your company.